Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. It is Thursday, and we're back here with the NBA as we had a nice little all-star break. Hopefully you guys caught the episode with Jedi Modi there. We got a bunch of bets right in that all-star game, including the East winning it all. Pulled up a few units there before we went into that break, and now we are back with a bunch of games. Let's get right into it, man. I know I'm a little bit late here, and I've got a ton of bets, 7 of them in this video for you. Just going to have this one for you, and we'll also have one tomorrow for Friday's slate. Not going to be getting these projections videos out this week for you guys. Just want to get right into these picks, and also want to remind you a couple of things here. There's a bunch of games, but we do need to ease into this after the break here, after the All-Star break that we had, because there's going to be some differences as we come back. We're going to see players rusty after they were in the Bahamas, somewhere tropical, I would imagine. And then we're also going to see guys that we might not have seen as much of in the first half of the season getting a bunch more minutes. Teams that are just sort of done with trying to either make the play-in or the actual playoffs this season are really just looking to get these guys who are younger some more minutes. Rookies, guys in their second year, third year, guys they really just want to see try out essentially for either next year or to see if they're going to maintain them on the roster this year moving forward. They really need to see them play, right? So if they're going to be getting those more minutes, we really want to make sure that we're tempering expectations for some of these veterans and maybe putting a little bit more stock into the young guys that we can assume are going to get a bunch more minutes. Let me just get right into that first bet. This isn't quite a young guy here, but I am going to be talking about some of that stuff here in a minute. Quick reminder to subscribe to the page. I'll be going through some of the record and numbers that we hit last week and in the last couple weeks as well, as we're up a bunch of units on the season. So continue to follow along with these videos each and every day. But let's talk about D'Lo for a second. I had to get to him. As soon as LeBron was ruled out, it was D'Lo assist time, which is what we did last time before the break, where he just went off and had 17 assists in that game with like 23 potential assists in that one. So that's what happens when LeBron is out. D'Lo's the point guard, and he runs things. He really runs the offense essentially, and then after that, it's really a lot of what he can do with guys like Anthony Davis at that point, and finding shooters as well. As the Lakers have been a little bit better from behind the arc over the course of the last couple of weeks. Not great still, to be honest, but better. And without LeBron, we're talking about 7 games this season, 11 assists per game, over this number every time, 16 potential assists 2 games ago. Last game, like we said, he had the 23 potential assists, and the minutes here as well. With a 243 total in this game, we're going to be getting a lot of points versus the Warriors. We're getting a lot of assists for D'Lo in a game where there's not much pressure at the top of the key for the Dubs. Now, maybe they throw Gary Payton II on him. Usually you find him guarding guys that are bigger than him. I don't know exactly how that matchup's going to work in this one with the way that Gary Payton has just recently come back before the break from injury. He's a really key matchup here for D'Lo. Is how many minutes is he getting? He's the only guy that I don't feel as comfortable D'Lo just doing whatever he can and wants to do. So let's keep an eye on Gary Payton II, but we're getting really good juice at 7.5. So I've got a half a unit on D'Lo, and you're going to see that throughout the video, half a unit for each of these guys, because I'm really not trying to come back into this and just start shelling out units, right? We want to be a little bit tempered, like I said in the opening slide. So second bet here is Precious Achiuwa, and this is at 21.5 points and rebounds, another half a unit. But I wanted to point out, like, there's some fishy lines stuff going on here with Isaiah Hartenstein and the way that he's sort of portioned out here on the books, where he's got slightly less, his props are lower than Precious's are, but he's the starting center, and it's really just about the injury. I don't think the books expect Hartenstein to play too often in this game. I don't think he's going to get the same amount of minutes that he's seen, where he got 35, 36 when he was playing and healthy before the All-Star break. He was already hurt. They still need to ease him back into it. He was sort of questionable up until a little while ago and should be good to go for this one in terms of Hartenstein. But I still think we expect Precious to get more minutes than Isaiah in this one. You look at what he did with and without Isaiah, it doesn't really matter. If Hartenstein is in, Precious is still getting the 24 PR that he would need to go over this 21.5 number. And we see that with the minutes that he's getting. He's played 40 plus minutes in 8 straight games. Right, he's in there now for the Knicks. They really started to trust him, and once Tom Thibodeau just latches onto a dude like Precious Achiuwa and doesn't need to revert back to 40-year-old Taj Gibson to be his second or even primary big man for a lot of these lineups with Jay Randall out, etc., you're going to see Precious Achiuwa in there if Tibbs loves him. That's just how it goes. He's going to run him into the ground, and we're going to see him out there for 40-plus minutes consistently. And I think that's just going to lead to the consistent rebound chances for him as well. They're taking on Philly, been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league without Joel. We know that. they're going to be a little bit better than they were when Tobias Harris missed a game. He's been a pretty good rebounder for them as well. But I still don't trust them to really stop Precious, who's just been getting a ton of offensive boards as well and should have the quality 17, 18 rebound chances that we've seen him getting in those last 8 when he had the 40-plus minutes. So I'm riding with Precious until he really shows us that like he's not getting the minutes or he can't get those rebounds, and he's been getting them a ton. So Trey Mann, man, like, what are we doing, man? I mean, like, do the books not know about this dude already? The rebounds and assists are at plus money. So I just went ahead and took those mostly because the points are there. And I do like the points for him as well. I think it's at 13.5 for him now. So it's still going up a tick, but that's probably not going to end in terms of the upward trajectory of his prop lines until he gets the respect he deserves, I guess. And it's probably going to be at about 15.5 that we start to see this mellow out. 12.5, 13.5 points. I'm still going to take the over for him there. But with the rebounds and assists and the plus money on MGM, that's where I went here. In the last 3, we're talking about 7.5 boards, 7.5 assists, however you want to play that. 11, basically 12 rebound chances. This is maybe the best rebounding point guard in the league at this point. He always has been. We just haven't seen him because he hasn't gotten the chance. Now he's on Charlotte. We know he's going to keep getting the chance the rest of the year. He is one of these young guys that's just going to be out there all the time, playing the like 37, 38 minutes that we've seen him put up since he got to Charlotte. The 9 potential assists per game make me a little bit nervous. I don't like the fact that he's gotten 7 dimes on 9 potential dimes. That's obviously not something that can always be sustained. Still, I think the potential assist might even go up a bit for him. He's playing Utah, and that is the specific stat that I really wanted to attack for Trey Mann, because Utah does not stop you from getting dimes. They don't have good defensive rotation at all. Will Hardy's going to really need to work on that moving forward if this team's ever going to be taken seriously. But yeah, I think also when you put Walker Kessler out there for the Jazz a lot more, now you're talking about guys like Trey Mann getting into the lane and needing to dime out a bit more than they can just go up against one of the best shot blockers, if not the best shot blocker in the league in Walker Kessler. Probably not the best, but top 3. Let's put him there. So we're going to go ahead and take the points, or the rebounds and assists against Utah for Trey Mann in this one, and move right on to Donte DiVincenzo, who, I don't know, man, another guy we got to keep riding with because he just keeps getting the volume. Now, it is a bit scary to just go, okay, Donte over 19.5 points over and over. Bojan Bogdanovic is there. This isn't something that we want to just keep hitting all the time. But I will say, coming back from the break, Bojan's prop was originally about 15.5 points, and it dropped a couple points because of the fact that I think we all realized this usage rate for Donte is not going down. Bojan was also nursing an injury, so I'm sure they don't want to necessarily rush him back. They just want to keep him, because if they lose him, now they're really, really, really thin without OG and Jay Randall, as we know all these guys. So I just think the usage rate for Donte keeps going. This is a dude that they've clearly trusted. His minutes are all the way up at about 36, 37 as well. He's the dude behind Jalen Brunson now. He is the guy getting the shots. I mean, look at these 26.5 points on 21.5 field goals, including 13.5 threes that he's taking a game. 13.5 threes, and most of them are catch and shoot, which is why he's now leading the league in catch and shoot points per game, catch and shoot field goal attempts per game. And Philly, as good as they've been when Joel is in there on defense, we know how that's just gone straight down without him in the lineup over the last like 5-6 games. And so now we're talking about a team who is already bad at defending the catch and shoot. Philly has allowed the most, or their top 5 in terms of allowing the most catch and shoot attempts from their opponent. So the attempts are going to be there for DiVincenzo this game. I don't expect him to take fewer than 11 to 12 threes once again and be able to get into the lane a lot more. If you look at his shot chart, he's either shooting catch and shoot threes, or he's getting closed out upon and then driving past his dude and getting all the way into the lane with his athleticism and going up right around the rim, which is exactly what you want for him. So we're going to keep going with Donte DiVincenzo in this one, and then go right into one of those rooks that I was talking about for Keontae George, who's going to be continuing to get a ton of minutes, something that we saw last year as well with Utah. Second half of the season, made a trade at around the same time that they did around the All-Star, the trade deadline, like they did this year, where they got rid of guys like Agbaji, as well as Kelly Olynyk, as we know, etc. So once they do that, then they go to their young guys and go, all right, here's the minutes for you. And that's what we're going to see with Keontae. That process started right before the All-Star break. If you look at the last 2 that he played, 37 minutes a game in those 2 before the break, and really righted the ship after a tough outing in the first game that he played. Then he went right back, 23 points per game in those last 2, 6.5 assists per game, and 11 potential assists. And it's, like I said, it's really about the minutes at this point. 37 minutes per game. We're going to see him in there over Chris Dunn now in the starting lineup. We're going to see some Colin Sexton, but this is really the point guard. Sexton has been a lot more of sort of like a slashing guard, and a dude that while he's gotten a decent amount of assists, when George is in there, he's the dude who's sort of facilitating things a bit more and looking for other guys. And so I really wanted to get the assists in there. But with the points at where they're at for him, yeah, I still got to ride with him on those because he is getting roughly 12, 13 shots a game. And now we're talking about taking on a Charlotte team where I think the assists are just going to be flowing for both teams, as you saw with the other bet that I took with Trey Mann. Also love it for this rook right here, Keontae George, to keep getting assists against a Charlotte team that allows the fourth most assists per game to opposing point guards. So let's keep riding with the rook. Half a unit to test it out, but I'm pretty sure he's going to keep getting the minutes like that in the starting lineup. So we'll ride with that. This is the side that are a total that I have for you. The only one. All the other bets here are player props. But I do love the over in the Oklahoma City and LA Clippers game tonight. It's over 235.5, and I'm definitely zagging as everybody seems to be zigging because this thing opened at 239.5, and apparently we're all expecting defense in this one, and I'm not sure why. I don't think that the rest or coming back from a break like that means that like the defensive effort is necessarily there more. I think the offensive effort certainly will be. And while there might be some rust for certain guys, like a lot of these dudes were playing over the break for both of these teams, or at least in a gym, right? Rather than just on the beach. So I think that the points are just something you follow with the way that these two teams have been playing defense and offense. Top two slides here. We got 26th in defensive rating for the Thunder, 27th in defensive rating over their last 5 for the Clippers, but both in the top 10 in offensive rating. And then you look at the splits at home and road. Like OKC just plays faster with more offense at home, 123 points per game at home versus I believe about 118 on the road. And they're allowing a $113 at home, which is good. But against this Clippers team, I don't think they're going to have quite as much luck. The ISO ball for the Clippers is key, and the Thunder have not defended the ISO ball super well, to be honest. And I still don't like the matchups for them when it comes to trying to guard guys like Kawhi or even James Harden at this point. They don't have much in the way of point guard defense unless they want to take a guy like Lou Dort, and they'll probably throw Dort on James Harden, but he's had plenty of success against Lou Dort as they faced each other over the years. And yeah, the splits for the Clippers on the road, they also average way more points, 234 at home, on the road versus when they're at home. And when these two teams have played each other, especially the last 3 times, we're talking about a total of 242 with a pace of about 100. Both very efficient offensively. And I do think the Clippers are one of those teams where they play to the pace of the other team. They've proven now that they can play half court, they can play transition, and they really are happy to play at whatever speed and however fast, however soon within the shot clock you want to take a shot. The Clippers are down. They don't need to have the game go exactly how they want it in terms of the pace and the style. They have the versatility at this point with all their incredible players. Honestly, their super deep roster to play at any pace at any time. And I'm very confident that they're down to run with the Thunder in transition and keep the pace pretty high. So we'll go with the over 235.5 for that game. Thanks for betting it down, everybody who may or may not be smarter than I am. And the last one here, I got to go with Clay and just keep it to a half a unit. But this is it's like I don't have much in the way of Clay shooting above the break. Yeah, above the break threes, wing threes. Those are things that you can get against the Lakers. They will give that stuff up for sure. Been a bit better against the three-pointer lately, but on the season, not an incredible three-point defense. And they're still missing a ton of good wing defenders. The last thing there, Vanderbilt, Reddish, Vincent, all dudes that would be helpful for sure in guarding a guy like Clay, as they're basically their best wing defenders out on the perimeter. Maybe you throw Taurean Prince in there, who's had a slightly down year defensively for Taurean Prince. So when you've got Clay playing his hometown team, grew up a Lakers fan, as we know, his dad, Michael Thompson, was a Laker, #1 overall pick, champion, etc. So we know that's a team that he loves playing against. I got to just keep riding with it, man. I don't love people just going, oh, recently this dude did well against this team, so I'm going to take him. However, this is a career's worth of example for Clay that he loves playing against this team. And he's at home, a bit better at home as well. And if you look at the last 3 versus the Lakers, 35.6 minutes per game, 23 points per game, 20 shots per game. That's what I'm buying into here, is that the shots are going to be there for Clay. The Lakers allow the 3rd most points per game to shooting guards. They allow teams to take those threes a bit more. They're really not running guys off the line and forcing them into Anthony Davis, which would probably be the smart thing to do, but they don't do it that well. That's why they allow so many points to shooting guards and guys of Clay's profile and shot profile. And so, like I said, without those defenders for him, the 20 points per game, the 20 shots per game is what I'm banking on for him to get 16 points on 20 shots. I mean, if you can't do that at this point, Clay, then you're not really bringing much value because he's not getting to the line. And so you can't really rely on easy points coming for Klay Thompson. But if he's going to get the shots up, then I'm going to take him to get the 16 points. It's just that simple. So let's run through what we've got here and get out. We've got 3.5 units to make 3.3. So I really like how close we are to getting even money on all these bets. We've got D'Lo over with the assists. Precious 21.5 points and rebounds over. We got an over for Trey Mann, rebounds and assists. Over 19.5 points and assists for Keontae George. The Clippers and Thunder to go over 235.5. That number did drop even further than the 236 I have there. And then Dante DiVincenzo over 19.5 points. Close to even money. And Clay, we got to finish with Clay, baby. Get him to go over 15.5 points here. Reminder to subscribe to the page if you like what you're getting. I do want to show you how well we did right before the break. Went 4-1 to keep this thing going and rolling. Made 2.1 units. Feeling really good about the way that the week ended there. We were up about 2.5 units on the week right before the break came. We got 1-0 on the sides there, plus 0.5 units. Really like the way that we are coming back on those sides and totals after a really tough start to the season there. We are almost back to even money on the sides and totals. You can see all the bets that we got right there. Really feeling good about those. The record, 23.5 units up on the season. I'll still take that at the break. I really wanted to be up 25 at the break, but we still made it. And the player props, I wanted to be over 30 units made on the Playa Props there, plus 32 you can see. And like I said, on the sides and totals, we were at about minus 10 units on the sides and totals as recently as like 2 weeks ago and made a really nice comeback. Made some improvements to the betting model. I will say there's a clear correlation between the way that I upped the betting model and got some help from some people that were able to inject a bit more into it. And the sides and totals have been a lot better as a result. So that is all the time that I have for you guys. I'm going to be coming back with one more for Friday's slate of games. Make sure to subscribe to the page. Keep coming back. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be a little bit MIA next week, but really continuing to win this stuff as soon as we get back. So till I see you next, happy betting.